Hey everyone, and welcome to Black Moth Radio, where we make working from home work for you. And it's always bring your kid to work day, except it's a school day, so the youngest is in school. Hooray!
Shouldn't they all be in school?
Well, I don't know, maybe. So, I'm your host, Robin Bull, and I'm joined with my co-host extraordinaire, Danny Bull. And today is Friday, December 15th, just 10 more days till Christmas. Are you ready for Christmas?
Humbug?
And we have even fewer days than that until Yule, so I have to get out my calendar and count. I know, sounds awful. So yeah, it's what the fruck? Maybe
That's our radio edit version of that.
Maybe you should tell everybody what today is, because I can't talk.
It's What the Fuck Friday.
And if you are new to this podcast, which, by the way, you can subscribe on blackmothradio.podbean.com. They have a nifty little app that you can download as well. And it's not just our podcast on there. You can find tons of podcasts. Some that are far more professionally produced than this one. And of course, this also ends up feeding over to YouTube in the form of a nifty little audio only put together. And if you hear weird sounds behind me, it's because the dog has decided he wants to do nothing more than lick the couch.
No, he's looking on that. He's looking on the couch.
Yeah, well. So, are you ready to get started? And my husband has a chihuahua trying to lick him in the ear. That's fun. That's not weird at all. So, are you ready to get started?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to start with just the regular news stories that just made us go, what is wrong with you? Or do you want to start with the actual weird news? Which do you want?
Let's start with that one. The first one.
Well, the first one's actually way over here. That's why I was asking. This is actually the last one I have pulled up.
Yeah, this one that we're on.
So you want to start with the the real news stories?
Yeah,
okay.
Real.
Okay. Do you want to do yours first?
No, you go ahead.
So yesterday, we actually tried to record part of this yesterday, but the dogs ran into the room and knocked the laptop so hard that it pretty much corrupted the file. It didn't save right, and yeah, so yesterday I covered this for USAHerald.com. New York appeals court dismisses defamation lawsuit against President Trump. So, just like yesterday, I'm actually going to tell the story from beginning to end, meaning what started it and how it got to the point that it was dismissed. Okay?
And like I said yesterday, I know a lot of you are already pissed off because you think that he got away with it again, but pay attention first.
We have laws. Okay.
It doesn't matter. He got away with it again. No, you dumbass, he didn't.
So in 2016, before he was President-elect Trump, and just for the record, I'm not his biggest fan.
Isn't he just president? I mean, isn't president-elect like whenever
in November when you're? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But this all started before he was even president-elect.
Okay.
So, and that's important. To me, that's an important part of the story because at that point, although you're still dealing with a public figure, you're dealing with essentially a private citizen. You know. To me, that's important. I don't think you're going to be able to sit there without the dogs licking your face.
I can't move now. They have me in a chokehold.
So in 2016, back when Trump was saying that he wasn't going to do a debate for whatever reason, and I remember because we had a shit ton of debates, but he had threatened not to go on a debate. A lady named Cheryl Jacobus, Jacobus, who formerly was on The Apprentice.
I'm going to kill these animals.
No, you're not. She is a PR consultant now, and I guess she was back then. And she goes on to a television show and said during her appearance about why she believed he wasn't going to attend the debate, which, by the way, he eventually attended. She called him, quote, a bad debater, end quote, who, quote, comes off like a third grader faking his way through an oral report on current affairs, end quote. So my first question for anybody who's listening is, and answer to yourself, do you agree with her statement? And
yeah, at first I didn't until I heard his response, and then I was
well,
like, yeah.
I've always agreed with that particular statement, but I don't necessarily think he is a bad debater too. But we have to remember, to some degree, we're dealing with someone with, zero.
Definitely not a master debater.
He always makes me lose track.
I brightened up your day with a funny joke.
But consider whether or not you think words like bad debater, right? And, being told that someone comes off like a third grader faking their way through an oral report, do you consider those legitimate insults that could harm someone's reputation, or do you think those are, to you they could still be fact, you could agree with it, right? So then you feel like that opinion is fact. Or do you feel like it's, an opinion, just, whatever, So I want people to answer that to themselves before, in the story, because I think that's important. Because keep in mind, he didn't sue her for what she said, okay? I wanted to make that clear. He was the defendant in this lawsuit. He didn't sue her for being called a bad debater or a third grader faking their way through an oral report.
Which is really surprising.
So, I think he took it for just what it is, somebody blowing smoke that didn't like him. And I'm not the biggest fan of the man. I'm just trying to be objective, right? So, if you go to the article that I wrote on usaherald.com, I actually link to the tweets that Trump used to respond to her criticism of him. And he said that she, quote, begged, end quote, for a job on 2 occasions, and that because he said no, or his campaign said no, he said that she became, quote, hostile, end quote, and that she was a, quote, major loser, end quote, with, quote, zero credibility, end quote. Okay? So, she calls him a bad debater and a third grader, and he says, you're just mad because you asked me twice for a job and I said no. You're a major loser and you have no credibility. Now, if I didn't tell you who said which comment do you think would be worse? You're a bad debater and you sound like a third grader who doesn't know what they're talking about. Or, you're a loser. You have zero credibility, man. Wouldn't you just think, if you didn't know who was involved, that this is just all a bunch of bullshit?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then again, the whole thing's bullshit to me.
It is. So, Jacobus files a lawsuit for $4 million for defamation.
Can you believe he said I'm a loser?
So, and we'll talk about defamation laws as far as what fine law says about it. I can't give an actual legal opinion. I'm just paralegal. I can just give you my personal opinion, and my opinion as a writer, a professional writer. So, she sues for $4 million, and the trial court dismisses it. The presiding judge is Barbara Jaffe, Jaffe, and in her ruling, which I also link to, she says that Trump's tweets, quote, are rife and vague and simplistic insults, end quote, that most people don't take seriously. I paraphrased the last part because that's not exactly what the judge said, and but that's pretty much what she's boiling it down to, is you got 2 kids calling each other names, and nobody's taking this seriously. You're a loser. I've heard worse things come out of the mouths of my teenagers.
Taking my ball and I'm going home.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. So, Jacobus, of course, didn't like the fact that her lawsuit got thrown out, so her legal team filed an appeal. And in the brief, this is a quote from the brief, they say that the lower court's decision, quote, comes dangerously close to declaring Twitter a defamation-free fire zone, end quote. Because I guess they forgot, her legal team apparently forgot that she started running her mouth first. And I guess she thought that, her opinion's okay to give out, but he can't have an opinion.
Yeah, let's go, snowflakes. Let's grow up and be adults here and realize that
if you're gonna say something,
you start shit. It's the whole
start some, gonna get some.
Who was it that said that though?
I don't know.
Don't start no shit, won't be no shit. Well, she started shit. What did you expect to happen?
So.
Oh, but Trump. Oh, fuck Trump.
No, don't fuck him. Ew. Gross.
I'm just saying, everyone wants to be like, oh, but Trump. No, fuck Trump. Trump has nothing to do with it. Some bitch ran her mouth about somebody. And then
got called out on it.
Got called out on
it.
In
a very simplistic way. It wasn't even a real call out. You're a loser.
Yeah.
He doesn't even say, Cheryl Jacobus, you're a loser. He said she's a major loser.
Yeah, and then
he doesn't even specify the name.
And then everybody wants to get all butthurt because of who's involved. Grow up.
Okay, so are you ready?
Have some logic.
Are you ready for the ruling?
For God's sakes, everybody be Vulcan for 5 minutes.
Are you ready for the ruling?
All right, yeah.
I linked to the appeals court ruling as well, and this is just part of it. Quote, the alleged defamatory statements are too vague, subjective, and lacking in precise meaning, i.e., unable to be proven true or false to be actionable. The immediate context in which the statements are made would signal to the reasonable reader or listener that they were opinion and not fact. So, I've had some time to think about this since we were doing this yesterday. And, we talked a little bit yesterday about reasonable reader or listener, right? The reasonable person standard. So, with reader, obviously we're talking about people who saw Trump's tweets. And I guess also, if you want to get right down to it, it could be people like my mother's husband, not that he gets on Twitter, but legally blind who use a screen reader so that they can still be involved.
Right.
And then if you think about it, reasonable listener, I feel like the appeals court is directly saying to her, this is what you get for giving your opinion. He didn't like your opinion, so he gave his opinion. Because people listened to the TV interview of her, where she said, you're a bad, Trump's skipping out on this because I feel like he's just a bad debater and like a third grader.
Well, she's right. It's funny that she had a somewhat eloquent...
But then she goes and gets pissed off because he says, because he acts like a third grader, you're a loser.
Yeah, she actually had, she had a very eloquently put point.
That wasn't very eloquent, but okay, we'll go with it.
It
was simplistic, and that's okay because people understood what she meant.
Yeah, but his rebuttal was, you're a loser. Which I think is hilarious and just validates her point. And why she couldn't just be happy with that, I don't know.
So, we have defamation laws to protect the reputation of people and businesses from damaging statements. When a statement is made in writing, it's libel. People tend to get these confused all the time. Slander is if the statement is made orally or it's audible in some way. Right? So then, according to Find Law, defamation lawsuits can only be successful if the plaintiff can meet certain elements. Number one, again, according to Find Law, the plaintiff must prove the defendant made a false and defamatory statement about the plaintiff. Here, both the trial court and the appeals court found that President Trump's remarks were just opinions without a precise meaning. And if you think about it, what she said was also just an opinion without a precise meaning, because everyone has their own idea of what a bad debater would be. Everyone has their own opinion about what a major loser would be. And we all have our own opinions about what someone would be like if they actually had zero credibility. So it's opinion. It's not fact. And neither one of those, hers or, well, I feel like hers can sort of be proven that he's a bad debater. But
just based off his rebuttal, it is.
But just in general, though, neither statement made by either party can really be proven true or untrue from a legal perspective.
Right.
So, number two, plaintiff must be able to prove that the defendant made an unprivileged publication to a third party. So, Trump is pretty much just responding to what she said about him on TV through Twitter, And note that she's getting pissed off because she went on public TV and said this about him. So it's publicized in some way, what she said. He goes and does the same thing, and that's when she gets mad. Number 3, the plaintiff must prove that the publisher acted negligently to publish the information. You don't really see anything, at least in the public eye, and I'm not reading these long-ass lawsuits that really could be fucking summed up in like 5 pages, right? But you don't see anything about her bitching that Twitter allowed him to post this. I mean, there are a lot of people that bitch that he's allowed to tweet. Well, unfortunately, for many of us, because most of his tweets are kind of hard to understand, you're just kind of like, what? It's like watching someone's drunk grandpa get in front of the computer.
So just so everybody knows, this is off topic, but in order to get ready for, What the Fuck Friday, we always turn Jerry Springer on. And today's title is Extra, Extra, Hose All About It. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
And I'm just going to keep moving on. Number 4. The plaintiff may have to prove that they suffered some sort of monetary damage because of what was said. Now, I don't keep up with the people that sue Trump. I don't.
It's impossible.
And for the record, I am not saying, what I'm about to say is not directed towards anybody who accused him or anyone else of sexual abuse. Or,
I'm just saying it's impossible to keep up with everybody who wants
right,
to
but I'm gonna say the
man.
same thing I said yesterday, but I don't want people to misunderstand what I'm saying.
What I'm about to say, because you're not saying what they want to say about Trump.
What I'm about to say has nothing to do with anyone who files a lawsuit alleging that they were sexually abused or discriminated against or harassed or raped or in some way by anybody, public or private citizens. Right, so I just wanted to make that clear, because he's had a lot of those allegations too, and what I'm about to say could have been misinterpreted without that little disclaimer. So, do you know anyone who has sued a famous person, like Trump, for instance? Because he's had a lot of lawsuits in his life, right? Especially now, though, that he's president. Do you really know any of them who've somehow suffered a monetary loss? Because I feel like a lot of them are probably getting job offers because they filed a lawsuit of some sort against him. Or, they're getting money for interviews or books or whatever. Like, you're probably getting more money than what you did if you just would have kept your mouth shut. So,
yeah. I mean, because nobody would have known who you were before. But they know who you are now, and everybody wants to talk to you now.
Yeah, so
really, are you losing money, or are you just gaining...
more money?
Are you just gaining an opportunity?
I really think when you file a defamation lawsuit, a lot of the times that's all you're trying to do is make a name for yourself because they're so hard to prove.
But it gets you publicity.
Yeah.
Like that lady probably got paid to be on that show.
Probably.
I mean, she's a PR consultant, so...
Yeah. Okay, so, story number 2, are you ready?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Apparently. Look at that. So I think this particular news channel actually runs off of WordPress.
Nice going.
Okay, so I'm not going to give the... It's from one of our local channels, I'll say that. Although it's not a local story, for once. I kind of want to play Third World Country or America for the title, but everybody already knows it's America.
They're going to know because
I know.
in it.
I know.
They're going to know what's in the title.
Okay.
They're going to be like, no Third World Country has Alfredo.
Never know. Never know. Have you been to a Third World country? You're like,
I'm not allowed
I've been to Alabama.
Yeah, I've been to Alabama. I've been to a Third World country.
Ready? Ohio man tried to trade chicken Alfredo and Sprite for sex with a minor, according to the police. So, before we get started, I want to go ahead and ruin this a little bit for the parents who may be listening. It wasn't actually an underage child. It was a detective posing as an underage child. So, be thankful for that. Okay? Be thankful for that. You ready for the news story? It's out of Austintown, Ohio. An Ohio college student faces multiple charges after police say he tried to have sex with an underage boy who turned out to be an undercover police officer, according to their news station WXIX. Austintown police arrested Albert Maruna IV, who's 22 years old, and a student at Youngstown State University on charges of attempted unlawful sexual contact with a minor, disseminating matter harmful to juveniles, possessing criminal tools, and importuning.
What is importuning?
Let's look. Hold on.
I'm really curious about this because...
Yeah, he asked me last night. Asking someone pressingly and persistently for or to do something. So basically, although he was moderately solicited by the undercover officer, he kept pressing for it. Come on, man, let's meet. Like pressure.
I got some Alfredo for you.
Maruna allegedly thought he was chatting with an underage boy on an online dating app. Clue number one, though, that it's probably a police officer. There's a minor on an online dating app.
Yeah.
If it says they're underage, or if they say to you in chat, "I'm underage," run away. Just stop. Just stop.
I mean, we don't really want to be helping criminals, but we want people to have fun.
Okay, I say that in the sense of I'm 19 and this person says I'm not really 19, I'm really 17. Just run away for a couple years. Just stop. You know what I mean? Just.
Pretty sure they'll still be available.
Yeah, they'll have 100 significant others between now and then, but it's all good. You'll be okay.
You can be 101. You'll be all right with it.
Police say Maruna sent nude photos of himself using the app.
If you've seen a picture of this dude, you don't want that nude photo of him. I promise you.
You know what? Yugo's law, there's a kink for everybody. And if one person's interested in it, there's 100 more. There are people that are into lots of things. They could be into that.
No!
Danny is basically saying,
you're wrong. You sit there and be wrong in your wrongness.
I'm going to give everybody the moderately politically correct answer to that. Your kink is not my kink, but that is not okay.
I like mine better. You were wrong, and you sit there and be wrong in your wrongness.
He also said graphic sexual things during the chat. During the exchanges, the undercover officer...
I'll give you $1 to find my penis.
The undercover officer said he was just 15, but Maruna replied, and I'm paraphrasing what the news article says because it's funnier my way. Age ain't nothing but a number.
No, really?
I was rubbing my husband's bearded face in a very creepy way while I said that.
Yeah, I don't want to be touched anymore.
He actually just said that he didn't believe in age. So
you don't believe in age?
No.
Like time doesn't exist?
I guess.
Is that it? Like, well, how does that work?
I mean, at that point, how do you differentiate between a 2-year-old and a 15-year-old? She was sucking her thumb all provocatively. No, ew, gross, go away. You have to believe in age. Age exists. It exists. So, they arranged to meet in Austintown on Tuesday, and Maruna promised to bring chicken Alfredo and Sprite to the meeting. Isn't that romantic? Like, I have friends who get more than that for going out on a date and decide. I don't have an issue with adults.
I have friends that get blowjobs whenever they go out on dates.
I have no issue with adults. Hold on, I'm leading up to that. I have no issue with adults, consensual, who want to give it up and have any sort of sexual contact the first date. Whatever, do what you want. You're probably running up against some STD opportunities that y'all probably should have talked about. But do what you want. You and I both know people who, consenting adults, get better treatment than chicken Alfredo and Sprite. Because knowing this dude, it's probably one of those 99-cent frozen Michelina chicken Alfredo meals.
That's true.
So, according to WXIX, which is the news affiliate where the story originally came up from, officers arrested Maruna when he showed up. He had an iPhone, a laptop, several zip drives, a bottle of lube, 2 bottles of Sprite, and a container of chicken Alfredo. Just one container of chicken Alfredo, but 2 bottles of Sprite.
The boy was gonna. I don't know.
So
I give up.
there you go.
Human beings disgust me.
There's your what the fuck moment. Are you ready for some more casual what the fuck moments? Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is out of Germany. This is actually from November, but it was so good when I came across it. I'm looking at a photo of a giant zucchini. And that's
Before any of you even say anything, no, she's fine.
This is from the AP Oddities section. So the Associated Press, they have this neat little section of like weird news. It doesn't have to be super strange. It's just kind of, what? Zucchini mistaken for World War II bomb in Germany. It's out of Berlin. A worried resident in Germany alerted police to what he thought was a World War II bomb in his garden. Officers rushed over, and they found a particularly large zucchini. But if you look at the picture of the zucchini, I mean, it is a little...
It's bomb-shaped.
Whistle.
It's a fucking... It is clearly vegetation.
Okay, but to be fair, apparently the man was 81 years old.
Yeah, I probably forgot to put his glasses on.
Failing eyesight. And lived through it. Little PTSD, perhaps.
Probably.
So, they said in a statement the day after it occurred that officers determined the object, which really did look very much like a bomb, and I'm sort of correcting the English translation of that, very like a bomb, so, was actually a 16-inch zucchini. The offending vegetable, which was very dark in color, weighed around 11 pounds. But police believe someone threw it over his hedge and into the garden. Unexploded wartime bombs are unearthed frequently during construction work in Germany, which often forces authorities to evacuate tens of thousands of residents while those bombs are defused. So, there's your little bit of funny, what the hell?
I mean, I understand this point.
You know what I really need? I need someone to make me a little snippet of what the fuck that like we can pop into the podcast.
Yeah.
And then instead of, Straight Outta Compton, the song, I need someone to change that to Straight Outta Florida. I do. Wonder if I can get Brian to do that.
Probably.
I'm gonna try. Possum breaks into liquor store and gets drunk as a skunk. Out of Florida. Out of Florida. This is from earlier this month, but again, it's another one of those what stories that's just so funny you can't pass up.
You know what my first thought whenever you said this?
Don't read too far down. I don't want you to see the store owner's name because it's epic.
Okay, but that's not what I'm getting at.
You're looking at the screen.
Yeah, but I'm not reading. The first thought that came to my head is, this is what happens when you encroach just a little too much into nature. They start running into your liquor stores and getting drunk.
A possum and opossum, or a possum, both
opossum and opossum,
apparently drank bourbon after breaking into a Florida liquor store. But he sobered up at a wildlife rescue center and was released unharmed. So see, even he went to the drunk tank.
Damn.
Emerald Coast.
Possum catch a break.
Emerald Coast Wildlife Refuge officials say the possum was brought in by Fort Walton Beach Police on November 24th.
Did they handcuff him too? What the fuck?
A liquor store employee found the animal next to a broken and empty bottle of bourbon. A worker there found the possum up on a shelf next to a cracked open bottle of liquor with nothing in it, said Michelle Petty, a technician at the refuge. She definitely wasn't fully acting normal. Well, I think a bottle of bourbon would do any, you just wouldn't act normal if you were a lot bigger than a possum. I don't think it would do much. I don't think it would take much to do her in, the possum.
I mean, I've met 200-pound men that a bottle of bourbon's gonna put on their ass. So,
so the lady from the Wildlife Refuge Center told Northwest Florida Daily News the female possum appeared disoriented.
Oh, she was a female too, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a girls' night out.
Was excessively salivating, so she's drooling everywhere. And
that's
of course,
what I do when I get drunk too.
She was pale.
She's a possum.
The staff of the wildlife refuge gave her lots of fluids and took care of her while she sobered up. And the reason why they gave her the fluids, of course, was to get the alcohol out of her system. Because I can imagine, that would kill her. If she was good. A couple days later, the lady said, and didn't really appear to have a hangover. Not really sure how you would quantify.
How do you judge a possum hangover?
You ready for the store owner? His name?
Yes.
The store owner, Cash Moore.
Jesus Christ.
Says he never had a possum break-in before. Moore said she came in from outside and was up in the rafters, and when she came through, she knocked a bottle of liquor off the shelf. When she got down onto the floor, she drank the whole damn bottle. But he just said, it just goes to show even the animals are impressed with Cash. End quote.
God, only in Florida would somebody think that's okay.
Straight out of Florida. A crazy fucking possum drinks bourbon. I was trying to do a whole parody, but that's really all I got.
Really all you need. What the fuck?
Please, someone, if you listen to this, so I don't have to bug my son, if you're really good at that, making little sound clips, instead of straight out of Compton, I need straight out of Florida. And if you make it for me and send me your PayPal address, I will PayPal you $5. But it has to be playable. I have to be able to just slip it into my podcast. So, because I think we have the sound theme straightened out. And matter of fact, actually, I was going to use the other program today, the one that crapped out on me last night, to just record this into MP3, but I forgot. So we're doing it in Wave.
Yeah. Well,
She may actually need out.
okay.
You'll be able to hear me, I promise. I have another story for you.
Of course you do.
This is from Huffington Post Weird News. So, sometime back, I posted on Facebook. We didn't really talk about it here on the show, or you and me together. We didn't really talk about it. So when Osama bin Laden was killed, they went through his computers and shit, and they found a fuck ton of videos and links and all this other stuff. And some of it was pretty funny. And I actually sent it out to Facebook through Buffer. And you can go and check how many clicks you got. Nobody clicked on it. I was so bummed that nobody clicked to see the shit that was on Osama bin Laden's computer file. Because had they done that, they would have known Osama bin Laden really liked the Charlie Bit My Finger video. It was on his computer.
I don't remember Charlie Bit My Finger.
It was it's several years old. I worked at OU when I saw it. And it's the little boy, he's got his little brother sitting in his lap, and the little brother's name is Charlie. And he keeps sticking his finger in the baby's mouth, and the baby would bite him. At first it wasn't very hard, and the kid would laugh, so then he'd stick his finger back in his brother's mouth, and the brother really chomped down, and you just hear this kid screaming. And finally the baby lets go, and he goes, "Ow, Charlie, that really hurt. Charlie bit my finger." I'll show it to you later. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can YouTube it. So, Charlie Bit My Finger, the dad of the video, he is shocked that his video was in Osama bin Laden's private collection. When Osama bin Laden wasn't planning terrorist attacks, and this is from Huffington Post, by the way, such as 9/11, he was apparently watching YouTube videos like Charlie Bit My Finger. And that shocks. Howard Davies Carr, who filmed his son Charlie biting the finger of brother Harry in the now legendary 2007 viral video. So the older brother Harry, I'm just guessing on ages, was probably born around 2004, 2003, looking at the video. So he's like a teenager now. You know he's fucking mortified by that video. Although he probably thinks it's pretty cool that a terrorist had it saved. Because that's just how teenagers think. Turns out Charlie Bit My Finger was one of the many videos, and by the way, this article links to the same videos I tried to share, that Navy SEALs found in bin Laden's collection when they stormed his compound in Pakistan in May 2011, according to a CIA press release. Davies Carr filmed the 55-second video in May 2007 just to capture a moment in their lives, and he uploaded it only after he watched it and thought it was funny. It struck a chord with many and received more than 854 million views. Davies Carr told HuffPost exclusively that he had no idea one of the viewers might be the mastermind behind one of the worst terrorist attacks on American soil. Quote, "I don't know how to react. It's hard to take it in. You can never tell who has a lighter side. It's hard to imagine he's planning terrible things one minute and laughing with his family over this the next." End quote. Davies Carr said his sons, 13-year-old Harry and 11-year-old Charlie, look, I was close on their ages, aren't surprised by it because they're too young to know much about 9/11. However, his wife's first reaction was much different than his own. She wondered if the children had been targets. There's the picture of the video, by the way.
Yeah.
Charlie Bit My Finger was perhaps the strangest film found in bin Laden's video stash. It also, though, included Tom and Jerry cartoons, the movie Cars, the movie Resident Evil, and crochet tutorials.
I didn't expect him to be much of a hooker.
I'm sure it's for like his 1,000 wives or something.
I thought he only had 8.
I don't know. And there were a shit ton more videos, by the way. Davies Carr says he's aware of many high-profile people who've seen Charlie Bit My Finger, and admits that bin Laden is definitely the most notorious of that list. He said, though, he prefers the 2014 celebrity tribute Jimmy Kimmel did featuring Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep, with Chris and Liam Hemsworth playing Harry and Charlie. Says Bitman Begins on that video segment. So, anyway, that was written by David Moy, a reporter for the Huffington Post. Ready to keep going?
Always.
Okay. Another Huffington Post weird story by David Moy.
God.
And I actually, when this initially came out, I sent it to one of my writers for Kinkley.com, who puts together sex stories we love.
Yeah.
He included it this week. He called it Boo Tea Call. Get it? Eh?
Yeah, I get it.
Woman claims she's had sex with 20 ghosts and prefers them to men. And now her apparition aspiration is to get pregnant. A woman in Bristol, England really likes spirited lovemaking, and only ghosts need apply. I personally just think she's sick and tired of men's shit. Her name, are you ready for her name?
Probably not.
Pretty sure it's not her real name, if it makes you feel any better.
Okay.
I mean, she could have changed it legally, but Amethyst Realm. She's 27 years old and says that she is a spiritual guidance counselor. Ooh, I'm taking that. I'm going to take that title. How many people come to me for advice?
Quite a few. But...
And I don't tell them to go have sex with a ghost or anything super weird. It's generally common sense based. I just make it sound mystical. Says that she's had sex with at least 20 ghosts and that she prefers them to the menfolk. Realm appeared on British TV show ITV this morning on Thursday, not yesterday. I think this is like a week old, what I'm reading, to discuss what being ghosted is really like. She said she had her first experience 12 years ago after she and her then ex-fiance moved into a new house and she felt the presence of a strange entity. HuffPost could not reach Realm for a comment on the story. She told the host, quote, "It started as energy and then became physical. There was pressure on my thighs and breath on my neck. I just always felt safe. I had sex with the ghost. You can feel it. It's difficult to explain. There was a weight and a weightlessness, a physical breath and stroking, and the energy as well." You know what it sounds like to me? She had a really fucking good sex daydream.
You know what it sounds like to me? Crazy bitch.
Realm said she had an affair with the ghost for 3 years, but that it ended when her human husband came home from work early and saw the shadowy shape of a man through the window. Since then, Realm hasn't strayed from the paranormal pond, and so she's had sexual encounters with at least 20 ghosts. Hey, look, you believe in ghosts. You watch all that crap with the apparitions and the manifestations, and I believe in ghosts too, so we can't necessarily say that there was no shadowy apparition that her husband saw. I'm just not sure it's banging her. I'm just not sure it's banging her. Because if they can't, like, come up with energy to do little things, or, like, all they can occasionally do is push something off a shelf, I'm not sure they have the energy to, you know, do the deed. Any deed.
That's pretty much what that's where I'm at. No.
By the way, she feels like she's being spooky slut-shamed. I can imagine.
I give up.
She felt like she was being spooky slut-shamed by one of the hosts of the show because she said that, you know, she had banged 20 ghosts, right? I don't believe in slut-shaming, by the way. I really don't. The only way I have a problem if you're sleeping around with lots of people is if you're in a monogamous relationship. The other person doesn't know you guys have not had the talk of everyone's okay with banging other people. Okay? I mean, if you're in a committed relationship and you're banging anything or anyone behind that person's back and you know they would not be okay with it, because I realize there are monogamous relationships where one partner is okay and even wants to watch. Whatever. I mean, if that's your thing, cool. As long as it's consensual. But if you're banging anything or anyone behind the back of your spouse or significant other and you're monogamous, knock it off. Knock it off. So, anyway...
But what about anything? Because, I mean, really, they're ghosts, so are you still cheating at that point?
If her husband felt she was, yes.
I don't know.
The host of the show that she felt slut-shamed by said, "I should imagine you've got quite a name for yourself in the spirit world. I would imagine they would be keen to visit you."
That's not slut-shaming. That's just telling the truth.
I think he was just trying to be funny. But she wants to get pregnant by a ghost. I've done a bit of research.
How would that work?
Oh, I'm about to tell you. This is her quote. And by the way, they have a video of her on this particular article from Huffington Post, again written by David Moye, M-O-Y-E, so you guys can Google it and find it and read his articles and, you know, share them, like his shit, you know.
And laugh at this just as much as we are. Or sit there and go, Jesus Christ, what the hell's wrong with all of this?
She said, "I've done a bit of research into phantom pregnancies. There's a possibility that it is a ghost in you, but people don't know how to carry it to full term."
What, and you do? What? Is that really her?
Yeah. So, she isn't the first person, according to this article, to claim they've gotten down with a ghost. Singers Bobby Brown and Kesha also say they've had supernatural sex.
Seriously, Kesha?
Yeah.
Wow, weird.
Ghost researcher Alexander Holzer says, "Those who've reported getting erotic with an apparition describe it as heavy, but not so hot." Well, you know, you're probably dealing with someone who died like 20 years ago or more, so if you did it doggy style, that was kinky. It's pretty much missionary or nothing, you know? I'm just throwing that out there. Unless maybe you're getting down with a succubus or an incubus, which, by the way, for those who don't know the word incubus other than the band, incubus is the male version of a succubus. And succubus, at least from what we know of them, from the Definition: they look great at first, and then they suck out your soul, and sometimes, men, they'll steal your semen. Just throwing that out there.
Well, you know, in Europe, they believe that the succubus and the incubus are the same creature,
Yeah.
and that while you're having sex with them, they actually change their gender so that you are
What
not
I've
committing
read,
a homosexual act.
and the other thing is, if you do just get experience with the succubus, but then she turns into just the monster portion, not a dude, just a monster, she steals your semen and then she gives it to the incubus as a gift.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
the ghost researcher, Alexandra Holzer, this is a quote from her to Huffington Post. The people who report having sex with a ghost report feeling pressure on them and even penetration, but ghosts don't have warmth. When they're in the room, it's a very cold environment. Psychotherapist Tina Radziskowitz.
oh,
I'm going to spell that last name because I'm sure I mispronounced it, and I don't want anyone listening to this to think I did that on purpose. Radzizewicz.
you lost me at R.
She said it's very possible that ghostly sexual encounters are actually a type of hallucination that occur between the transition of being awake and being asleep. She gave a quote to The Mirror. Such hallucinations can be extremely vivid and bizarre and include tactile, visual, and auditory. Stress, anxiety, and depression and trauma can also make people more prone to this form of hallucination. So, Amethyst, honey, I know you're not really going to listen to this. Do us all a favor, even those of us that believe in the supernatural. You know, I'm a practicing pagan on top of that. Do readings and shit for people upon occasion. Honey, darling, get some help for your stress and anxiety, because I think that you may be having a nervous breakdown. Anything you want to say?
No, I give up. I'm done. I'm
Okay.
done with them.
Okay, we're on a David Moy kick today from Huffington Post. Do you want to sing "Here Comes the Bride, All Dressed in White"? Da 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 da
No.
da 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 da.
No.
Okay, well, weird news, Huffington Post, David Moy. This is from December 14th. Poisonous flowers turn bride's wedding day into a blooming nightmare. Aren't they clever with their titles?
They are.
There's her face.
She looks kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie.
Her name is Christine Jo Miller, and her eyes were watering on her wedding day, but the tears weren't because of joy. She was 23 years old. She had a reaction to flowers she picked a day earlier for her flower arrangements. As a result, her white wedding dress contrasted with a red bumpy rash on her face. Not that she could see it, because her eyes swelled shut, and she was afraid she would go blind. She told Inside Edition, "I was in so much pain no one knew what to do." When Miller married her college sweetheart Jonathan last September, she thought creating floral arrangements using flowers from her 29-acre plot of land near Lincoln, Nebraska would be a nice touch. Here's a hint. If you're going to go out and pick wild flowers from anywhere at all, right? You should probably know what flowers you're picking and, be careful. One type of flower caught her eye. It's called Snow on the Mountain and has lovely white blooms. But it's also poisonous! She didn't know till she went to wash her face the morning of the wedding. Sap residue from the flowers were still on her hands from the night before when she was making the flower arrangements. She started breaking out, of course, so much by 11:30 a.m. that her eyes were swollen and her mom had to take her to a nearby emergency clinic. And it was closed. You know what?
Thanks, Obama.
She still put on that wedding gown and went to her ceremony. She walked down the aisle to get married and she felt awful. I literally couldn't see my husband when I was saying my vows because my vision was so blurry. That's what she told Huffington Post by email. So blurry, I passed out twice at my reception. Of course, when you can't see, a lot of other shit goes wrong too.
Maybe if you would have just. Okay, so the place wasn't open, so she goes out with the ceremony. They don't do the reception right after. Give her a couple hours so she can go to the fucking hospital.
So, due to everything that was going on, and this is from her quote to the Huffington Post, she put on her wedding dress just 20 minutes before walking down the aisle. She forgot to put on her shoes, and by the way, the wedding was outside. Her veil fell out twice while she was walking down the aisle. Forgot the wedding rings, and her wedding song didn't get played. Which, I don't think she was probably the one responsible for the music. You know, when we got married outside, I had a playlist set up, and I just handed it to someone, was just like, here, this is what you play here, here, and here. Make it happen.
Did they?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It was Amanda. She did.
Okay.
Yeah, no, she made it happen.
Make it happen, Captain.
So, they did not do the unity portion. Some people do sand, some people light a candle or whatever. You can imagine they probably would have started a forest fire if it would have been a candle. But the reason why they didn't do that is because they forgot those items. Pastor, of course, cut it short and got them married fast because she was in so much pain. And after they exchanged their vows, it actually says they didn't go to the reception, except she said she passed out twice during the reception, so I don't know. They went to the hospital to get her checked out. There's a picture.
She looks a little more normal in that one. Yeah. It's actually a picture of her getting a shot in the butt.
Yeah. But I can't decide if looking at the picture, she may be into it.
Maybe a shot in the ass is just what she likes. I don't know. Don't care.
She received eye drops, pain meds, and a steroid shot. And then eventually, there we go, she showed up at her own reception 3 hours later.
See?
It was the pain medicine that made her pass out twice. I'm just telling you.
At that point, she's just passing out because of the drugs.
So, that's not the whole story there, but it was enough for everybody to get the picture. This is
Oh, for God's sakes, are you serious?
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So, this is the story itself that I'll read is again off of Weird News for Huffington Post. But it's by Ron Dicker.
Ron Dicker.
But it's gonna go into the whole
Dicker.
Roy Moore election conspiracy theories. So I just wanted to prepare you guys for that. I do want to say in all seriousness, thank you, Alabama, for putting morals and your people above politics. I just wanted to throw that out there.
They've already fired his ass twice.
Yeah, but they didn't elect him. And he's refusing to concede, by the way.
I know.
So, I just want to say, seriously, thank you for setting an example for the nation of saying that sort of behavior is not okay. So, let's see here. Okay, so we're back. We had to take a very short break. I fixed it.
Okay.
As you see, it's fixed.
Yeah.
So, again, like I said, we just want to say thank you to people in Alabama who actually set a good example for the nation and didn't elect a pedophile. I feel like that should be common sense not to elect a pedophile, but apparently, you know, it's America. So, everybody I'm sure knows who Alex Jones is. If you don't, he's the dude from InfoWars, and he is a total freaking nut job. And this again is from Weird News, Huffington Post, Ron Dicker. Alex Jones is making Roy Moore election conspiracy theories even nuttier. Alex Jones has piled on to a far-right conspiracy theory that out-of-state voters were bussed in to steal Alabama's special Senate election for Democrat Doug Jones, who beat Republican Roy Moore earlier this week. But you know what I heard, though, whenever they were on Election Day? In several precincts, that they had the cops actually there checking people for warrants so they could just arrest them instead of letting them vote. I have no way to verify that. I wasn't there. But I heard about it from several different counties. That sheriffs were there checking everybody for warrants, and if you had one, you didn't vote, they fucking arrested you.
That wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that'd be a really good way to dupe it. A really good way to get people.
I think you get them after they come out from voting.
Well, yeah, but then it's...
Let them vote.
But then it's obvious what you're doing.
It's obvious when you're already there and checking people before they walk in the door.
Mm-hmm.
So the conspiracy-loving radio host said Wednesday that the dearly departed cast ballots... What?
I
get it now. Okay, he's basically saying dead people voted. Okay, what was this guy's name? Dicker? Mr. Dicker? Better sentence structure, please. Editors, for HuffPost, you should have caught that shit and fixed it. That is a rough read. Operatives, quote, had the dead people vote and had the folks bust in those Democrat areas and they stole the election. When my research shows Roy Moore probably would have won by 6-7 points, end quote. Jones said in a clip posted by Media Matters.
Okay,
I saw a lot of places, though, that were predicting Roy Moore was the winner, and I was like, oh god, no, this can't be happening. Like, even some of the publications I work with that do predictions were predicting him, and I'm like, no. And, Chad Alexander here in Oklahoma actually called for Roy Moore to step down out of the fucking race, because this is crazy.
These are the same people that said Clinton was going to win against Trump, and when he didn't win, when she didn't win, it was, there's a huge conspiracy theory about that.
Okay, wait. This is good too. Are you ready? Alex Jones, and I don't keep up with his doings or the doings of his show or the people that like him because he's a fucking nut job. Like, I enjoy a good conspiracy theory as much as the next person, but I'm reasonable about it. Apparently, Alex Jones once claimed that the KKK demonstrators were actually just Jewish actors. My husband just sort of froze in place for a second, like, what?
What KKK demonstrators?
I don't know. It just says, Jones, who once claimed...
Oh, many Klan demonstrators are just Jewish actors. Got it.
Okay, so here's another quote.
But about this whole dead people voting thing, remember that was a huge problem. What was that?
They said that was happening with both elections for Obama. They were worried about it for this one.
But they found out it was a huge thing, like in there were like
Mississippi. It was a big deal.
States that were like dead people were voting in.
Mississippi, Louisiana were two of them.
Was it Florida? Was the other one?
Well, probably.
And it was a huge problem, and so I mean. Was somebody bussing in people to vote a particular way? Maybe not. I don't know.
I think it's more likely that dead people were voting versus bussing people in to beat Roy Moore.
Well, but they were just using the dead people's names and voter registration cards.
Maybe.
Because that's been a problem in the past. I could see that still is a problem.
In some of these states where it's been a problem, it's kind of like here, although it's not really a big problem here. In our state, it's actually not the law for them to require you to have anything other than your voter ID.
Yeah.
But they still will not let you vote without your driver's license.
Yeah.
Although that's not the law.
Right. I know.
In those states, in some of them, you actually have to have your voter ID and your picture identification to vote. Yeah. So if you're bussing someone in, to vote, even if you're doing the dead person vote, right? Yeah, you're also going to have to go through fake IDs. And I don't think someone's going to go through that much trouble and expense for this. Maybe a presidential election.
Yeah.
But this?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, it's been a problem before. I guess it could be a problem again. I don't know.
Sure, it could be. But, so, you ready for another quote from Alex? What's his face?
Alex Jones.
Thank you. It really is biblical. What we're witnessing and the dirty tricks of the Clintons and the dirty tricks of their system in this country reaching down through into daily life. They come after you when you fight. They run intelligence operations. They destroy families. They pay people off. Okay, so he brought up the word biblical. biblical. So if you're gonna fuck around with 13, 14-year-old little girls, or even 17-year-old, I mean, I'll play devil's advocate and say they were closer to 17, right? Because remember, he never once said, I didn't do it. In fact, what Roy Moore said was, I didn't date anybody without their mama's permission. But I
think there towards the end, like 2 days before, he said he didn't do it.
I never heard it.
2 days before the election.
I never heard it. It could have been said. I don't always keep up. But the fact that, all I'm saying, if we're going to get into the biblical portion of it, these underage girls, he should have married them if he did anything with them, including kiss them, according to the Bible. And if we're going to talk about biblical, right?
Right.
Dirty tricks of the system in this country. We have laws against fondling, kissing. What's the story we just read about the dude who offered chicken Alfredo and Sprite to a 15-year-old, or who he thought was a 15-year-old? That, of course, is disgusting, but with Roy Moore, it's okay? Really?
I don't know. The Roy Moore...
I feel like Alex Jones, everything he does is a cry for attention. His mother didn't love him enough or something.
Roy Moore should never have gotten as far as he did. I don't know. God. But this shit, I like conspiracy theories, and I see where he's basically what he's doing is he's rehashing an old conspiracy theory that was actually proven not to be a theory, but and he's just trying to apply it to this, and I don't, because the other guy that won, he wasn't.
Factcheck.org, just for the record, for the 2016 presidential campaign, as far as the dead people voting, because remember President Trump said that if he lost, it was because of dead people voting. Factcheck.org said that sort of thing is virtually non-existent.
Yeah, I think it was a big one in like 2008.
Something like that, so.
It might have been big in like 2004, during the Al Gore Bush election. I think that's when they first uncovered it, when Florida had their big recount, and they realized, oh shit, like 450...
Danger, Will Robinson, yeah, danger!
Like 450 people who voted hadn't lived in the past like 20 years.
Are you ready for a better conspiracy theory?
Yeah.
Okay. One that doesn't have to do with politics?
Yeah.
Okay. This is, again, Huffington Post, written by Leslie Keene, who is a contributor. This is actually from October, but it was another one of those too good to pass up stories. Former manager of DoD Aerospace Threat Program, UFOs are real. And all I can hear right now in my head is the Brickleberry episode where the bear goes, magic is real.
Magic is real.
So again, this is from October. Something extraordinary was revealed. Former high-level officials and scientists with deep black experience. Editors, where are you?
The fuck is deep black experience? I mean, is she talking about like Mandingo black experience? Are we talking like black op experience? What? Are we talking?
I'm sure they mean space. She has a
lot of experience in the color of black.
I'm sure they mean space. Anyway, these people who have remained in the shadows came forward in October. Insiders have long-standing connections to government agencies, which may have programs investigating unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAP, UFOs. The team includes a 25-year veteran of the CIA's Directorate of Operations, a Lockheed Martin program director for advanced systems at Skunk Works, and former deputy assistant director of the Defense for Intelligence. I'm trying to actually find what it said.
That's a shit ton of titles right there.
Okay, so here's a statement from Tom DeLong, and I'm not reading the 16 fucking, it seems like sentences of titles and bullshit again.
Yeah.
We believe...
You people really don't need that many titles.
It's just filler. One. No, it's filler to make word count. That's exactly what that is. That is filler to make word count.
Try having story.
there are only so many, quotes that you can put in. Someone's like, someone said to me, this is kind of short anyway, you can bump up the word count. I said, do you want me to get wordy and just start putting in shit that doesn't matter? I can. They're like, yeah. Great. We believe there are discoveries within our reach that will revolutionize the human experience. And then the writer asks you to go back and read a totally different story to talk about those things. And then according to another statement from team members who have been, quote, operating under the shadows of top secrecy for decades, end quote, they believe that, quote, there is sufficient credible evidence of UAP that proves exotic technologies exist that could revolutionize the human experience, end quote. It was a 4-hour-long meeting, bunch more people. So yeah, they say that. And a former high-ranking DoD official who left his position the week before this meeting took place confirmed that an official UFO program exists, which the writer feels answers a question so many debated and speculated about for decades. So there you go. They're saying UFOs are real. They exist. Dun dun dun!
I don't understand what the big problem with that is.
I just feel like if we can't trust the government to tell us the truth on anything else, do we really trust these assholes?
That's true. That's true. But I mean,
they're probably more credible than the people, many of the people, I won't say all of them, many of the people who say they've gotten probed and pregnant by aliens.
Oh, yeah, but...
Just throwing that out there.
I mean, why would anybody suspect that there's only human beings?
I agree with that. I just, my standing has always been, and probably forever will be, at least unless they come to Earth in my lifetime, right? Publicly, a la Mars Attacks or something. I don't know. But my feeling is there's life out there, but they see us destroying ourselves. They don't need to get involved.
Yeah, they're just like,
Jesus
watching. Christ, these things are stupid as hell.
So, are you ready for the last story? It's a Christmas story.
Oh, let's hear it. Maybe.
Oh, Christmas cow. Oh, Christmas cow.
Nice.
So, this is from ABC News, from their weird section. Originally published by the Associated Press. Titled, Holy Cow! Wandering bovine returned to Philadelphia nativity scene.
So the cow left the nativity scene?
And then came back.
They had to bring it back.
Look how scared that poor little cow... The cow's name is Stormy. And she keeps escaping from the church's live nativity scene. Well, she just doesn't want to be involved.
Yeah, maybe she's an atheist.
Maybe.
She's like, I don't believe in this.
Cow in Philadelphia was apparently wanted to be away from the manger because it escaped twice on Thursday from a church's live nativity scene. Stormy, a 7-year-old brown and white Hereford, was back munching hay at Old First Reformed Church of Christ at 7:15 a.m. after 2 sets of adventures on snowy downtown streets. Police first got reports of a cow near Interstate 95 on-ramp around 2 a.m. Thursday. One of the state police troopers, I'm getting licked in the face by dogs, save me, responded, was a cattle ranch in New Jersey who knew how to handle the situation. Officers put a rope on the cow and walked her to a nearby parking lot with police vehicles helping shepherd Stormy back to the church. Some lanes of the highway had to be shut down as the cow was wrangled. But for Stormy, all was not calm and bright. Well, no shit. I think her name is Stormy for a reason. I think she's always been a little firecracker or something. She fled again around 6 a.m. despite the Reverend's best efforts to stop the 1,500-pound animal.
Yeah.
She then ambled toward a major thoroughfare as morning rush hour got underway.
Yes.
The police department tweeted just before 7 a.m., if you're in the area of 4th and Market, beware of traffic delays. A cow was loose. Again, no, we can't believe we're tweeting this either. This time, the bovine was tracked down on the 4th floor of a parking garage about a block south of the church. By late morning, she was loaded into a trailer to head back to the Manitoba Farm, which is a high school 4-H club that owns her. Scott Moser, who helps the students with the animals, told the Associated Press, because Stormy figured out how to push open the gate. Despite its beefed-up latch system, it seems to have become a bit of a game for her. They decided to use her understudy, a cow about half her size named Ginger. As for Stormy, Moser said she's never been a troublemaker before. She's a very calm cow. Nothing really phases her.
She's a cow!
She did not want to be part of that nativity scene.
Cows are... Oh, God.
Okay, so that's all I have. Do you have anything else?
No.
He's like, God, no, shut it off. I'm done.
Humans are stupid.
So, if you want to...
How sad is it that the cows are smarter than the rest of us?
You know, there's a Brickleberry episode about cows taking over the earth.
Yeah, because cows are actually aliens. Yeah. They pull on your teeth. Oh, but you're okay with the Hindus.
So, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, any topics you'd like for us to cover, hate mail, because I haven't gotten any of that in a while. You can find me on Twitter or Facebook. Both are The Robin Bull. And join us on confessionsfromthecouch.com. We're almost 1,600 subscribers. And I have to go now because the dog is trying to eat my husband's pants.